Well, what's it like to make the switch? You've been in training camp, one of the last cuts in New York. You got to come back here. How hard is it to make that adjustment? The wheels coming from an NHL camp to being in the AHL. You've gotten used to it now, or there's still a little time yet to really adjust?
Yeah, it's an easy adjustment. The last, I don't know, pretty much my entire career, I've kind of been fringe bubble guys. So, been one of the last guys cut for a few years. So, um, it always sucks. You never get used to it. But the transition is very easy, especially playing here for majority of the year last year. Being the captain here, everybody familiar faces. So transition is very easy.
What's it like when you have such a huge turnover between forwards and defense? And a lot of new personalities in there. What's it like to be the captain to now have to deal with a whole new group of folks that are in that locker room?
I feel like the locker room is already very cohesive. I think that the turnover of the vets that we have pretty much the same core group. So I think that helps a lot with me, Turner, Louis, Jake's back. So some of the older guys are still here with Bleeder. So I think that helps a ton. It makes it a lot easier for the younger guys, to pick each other's brains. Harps is back, so he's kind of taken over the D. Um, yeah, I think it's going to be a good group of veteran guys coming back and a very fast young group of forwards and defense.
What's it like with Hoffman and Sikora? What have you noticed about those two young players?
Both very hungry, wanting to learn, wanting to get better every single day. Um, I think Sikora, we had 4 or 5 goals in our scrimmage games that we were doing in training camp, and he's celebrating every single one of them. So he's very excited. He can't wait to get the year going. And Othman, same thing. I think he's going to be with me on the power play. So I think he's picking my brain every day, willing to learn, wanting to make that next step. And I'm going to help him every step of the way.
Eric, you got anything?
Good. Thank you.
Turner was talking about when, you get, like, hockey's a small world. So even though you have all this turnover, you have guys who you've either, if you haven't played with them, you've seen them play plenty. So just can you speak to that a little bit of how small of a world it is? And we come in here asking about chemistry, but these are guys you probably already know.
Yeah, for sure. It's guys that you've played with or played against that you just become so familiar with that, like, I mean, some guys you'll play against for 5, 6 years, and then you're on each other's team. You feel like you already know them. You just kind of build chemistry with guys that you played with, that you play against. You talk in the summer times. A lot of guys train with each other. So you might not play with a guy for 10 years or even play in the same conference, but you go home, you're training with them. Especially in Minnesota, we have so many guys that go back there and train in the summertime that you feel like you know everybody in the league. So there's probably 5 or 6 guys that I ski with in the summertime on each team we're going to play against. So the hockey world is definitely a very small world, especially at this level in the NHL.
Can you just mention, earlier we talked just the balance of family life and professional life. How hard of a balance is that right now?
Yeah, it's tough, especially for me personally, coming into training camp. I came a little bit earlier this year, coming from Minnesota. I drive out, so I leave 2 weeks before training camp. The past few years, I've done it just before training camp. I found that was a little bit more difficult. Coming right in to a 20-hour drive right into New York. The next day, you got a skating test and kind of roll right into training camp. So I came a little bit earlier this year, but the only downside of that is now I got to leave my wife and 2 daughters at home. Makes it a lot more tough to leave, especially with 8-month-old and she's not crawling, and I leave a month later, she's crawling, she's saying mama, stuff like that. So you miss out on the little stuff, but thank God for FaceTime.
How do you feel the new additions of gels with the returning core this year in the last couple of days?
Yeah, great. I think the guys that they brought in, especially the older guys, I think it's a great group of leaders. With Belzy, Nasher coming here, both leaders with their teams. I think the core group that we have right now is probably stronger than we've ever had. And I just think the work ethic of those guys too is kind of something that has increased tremendously this year. Is kind of more leading by example this year than going to be in the past.
Have you seen having a family, having that broader picture when you talk to the younger guys, maybe trying to get them out of their head a little bit, and like you see the world bigger, right? You're thinking about your daughters, your wife, that sort of thing, and what makes you love this game. And then do you kind of see yourself in the younger guys being like, wow, I remember when my vision was this like pinpoint?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's and when you're just starting in the league too, guys can maybe tie your skates at a certain time, and you're doing this at a certain time and this, but you're doing full 82 game season with that or whatever we play, and then you go into playoffs, and then you're on your 5th year of doing it. It gets so repetitive, and I think guys can get burned out very quick, or guys can be thinking about the last game, and then we're 3 games into it, and you're still thinking about that one game. I think it's just a good way to you put everything that you have as soon as you get into the rink. You're so focused for the 2-3 hours that we have here. You're learning, you're getting your workouts in. On the ice, you're focused, but as soon as you leave the rink, maybe you can watch video, you can do whatever, but try and get away from it and kind of enjoy the hockey lifestyle, because you're only going to have a few years of it. If you're lucky, you can play a little bit longer, but you really have to enjoy it while you have it.
Jonny, a year ago this time, you guys were coming into camp with kind of an unfinished business mentality, tough second half in 2021-22. Missed the playoffs last year. You guys have a great second half, make the playoffs, win 2 rounds. How different is kind of that mentality year over year? You guys seem like a really confident group right now.
Yeah, I just think we're just not satisfied with where we ended up last year. I think we're a good enough team to make more of a push. Kind of unfortunate circumstances with how last year kind of ended, with a couple of us older guys getting called up, not playing in the first half of the playoffs, and then kind of getting thrown right back into it without playing or skating really for a good month. So yeah, I think it stung kind of everybody, but they pushed through. We won those first 2 series, and then just kind of came up short. So I think everybody's just looking forward to getting this year going. I think we have a strong group this year. We're going to be a team to reckon with, and I think everybody, coaching staff included, is excited to get the year going.
Okay, thanks, Jonny.
How's the Brodzinski